Good morning. How's everybody doing?
You?
I'm excited it's Thursday. Are you guys excited it's Thursday? Does anybody have classes on Friday? Yeah, I think that's a terrible idea. I think nobody should ever have classes on Friday. I think for sure we should be a 4 and 3, right? Like 4 days work, 3 days weekend. I mean, I work all day tomorrow anyway because everybody schedules meetings for me. But it's a little bit different. How are your other classes going? Anyone who's taking other classes? Are they going well? That was a resounding no. Good morning, Mackenzie.
Hello.
Are you in a good mood today?
Yes, I am. So my little guy, I don't know what I call them. I want to say that I nanny, but it's elderly people, so I don't nanny. It's not nannying.
It's kind of the same.
Yeah, it basically is. He's back to diapers, so basically the same. We finally got him to his procedure today. They were stressing out about it all week, so I'm glad that it's over. They're safe.
Good.
I had to drive in front of them for them to get there. They had to do their COVID testing, and then from their COVID testing, we waited an hour, and then I drove them to the hospital. So I'm like, yes, that was a big to-do that we finally got figured out. So
Nice.
And I didn't realize my volume was on initially, so I'm sorry if you heard me singing.
No, we did not. I just saw you, and I was like, oh, Mackenzie is in a good mood. I was just saying how excited I was that it was Thursday.
Oh, big one.
And then I was asking if anybody had classes on Friday, and then I'm like, how are your other classes? Literally nobody said a word. So
okay.
I think that meant their other classes were going bad. I don't know.
They're probably just more lame,
Well, I guess it depends on your definition, right? Some people are like, that class is way better. She's crazy.
No, you're great. I like this class. Yeah, my other class, I like them. This is better. I like this.
Oh, good. Well, I just had to get up in the middle of your story to let my cat out because I tried to get him out before I logged on, and he was in my bathtub.
Oh my God.
So, and he weighs like over 20 pounds, and so I wasn't lifting him up. I was like, good luck getting out of the bathtub.
You're like, okay.
And then, of course, as soon as I started class and started talking, he's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah. Sounds about right. Cats have a mind of their own. I was just saying that the elderly people that I work with, they had a procedure that was scheduled, and it's cute because one is 86 and one is 84. So they forget stuff all the time. So they'll go through something, we'll go through what we're supposed to do, how we're supposed to do it, and then they forget. So I was just saying we finally got them to their procedure today. He got his COVID testing, and that's good to go. So that's a big yay, because now we don't have to worry about that anymore. It could have been, honestly, if I would have set up, I wouldn't do this, but if I would have set up a camera, it could have been a sitcom. They were hysterical through this whole thing. It was so stressful. So I'm just glad, because they'd be like, huh? What are you saying? And they'd be like arguing and not hearing each other.
That's awesome.
Hold on. Today, Thunderbird Thursday.
It is. I know. Are you telling all your other teachers that why are they not doing Thunderbird Thursday? Isn't that a thing? Like, no one knows.
Definitely, it should be a thing.
And then I got a little feisty in a meeting yesterday, and like it was dead silent after I got so feisty, and I was like, oh dang it! I try to just not say anything because people then think I'm super crazy. It was just I was stated a fact that when students have asked for something and we promised it to them, and then whoever's in charge backs out of it, that is not okay. So, and then everybody was like, oh, and I was like, it wasn't me, because whatever I promised students, happened? And they were like, so at some point people thought I should be in charge of things, and then they changed their mind because they're like, she's crazy.
No,
So.
no, but I mean, like, at least someone else is like actually speaking up and cares. I feel like people get
Well,
frustrated when they care.
it's just annoying. You know how that is.
Yeah,
People
well,
are annoying.
I appreciate you being an advocate because there's some teachers that don't care. They don't care at all, and it's really frustrating. So,
Okay, just before we start, Sydney is having all kinds of problems. I don't know if you can
uh-oh.
see this. Can you see?
BB!
That is Levi. Super cute. I know, super cute. And then let me see if I can find a good one of Milo.
He looks the
Milo?
same.
No, they're not identical.
Oh, they're
twins.
not identical twins. Okay.
Bobby!
No, so good try, Bobby, but they're not the same. So there's no good pictures of Milo. He still has a lot of stuff on him. Okay, well this one, and I don't want to show you anything that's like questionable, right? Like, because they're in the NICU, and so it has to be skin to skin, you know? So, but I'll show you the dad's skin because I don't think that's bad. That's Milo. And he does look very different, actually. So they look very different. One is more wrinkly than the other one. The little one is way more wrinkly. Like his skin doesn't quite fit him yet, right? Like he's wearing a skin suit that is not quite his size. So, okay, we're missing a lot of people. Yes, exactly. We're missing several people. Where is everyone today? Oh, there we go. There's Sydney again. I don't know what's happening with Sydney.
Whoops. I muted you.
Thanks, Bobby.
The admit button disappears and it's immediately replaced with your mute button. And so when I go to admit Sydney for the, multiple times.
Nope, I see how it is. Bobby's in charge today. Bobby is now teaching the lesson.
Thunderbird Thursday. With your host, Bobby.
Okay, I'm trying to do screen mirroring and it is not cooperating. Remember, that's my workaround. And my workaround is like, haha, you're funny. Not going to happen today. Okay, so Thunderbird Thursday, I can still do it a different way. We're going to talk about scholarships. I don't know about you guys, but I don't like to pay for school, right? So let me figure out which one is yours. It's this one. So here we go. So scholarships for next semester. They're actually holding scholarship workshops on Friday, October 2nd, which is next Friday, and Friday, October 9th. And if you go to this website, which is the MCC scholarship website, you will see, let me see if I can scroll down here. Right here on this right-hand side, it says scholarship workshop. And if you click on that, then it'll take you to that flyer, which is clickable with that information on it, where the workshop link is. So I highly recommend you investigate scholarships. You can also get a one-on-one scholarship information session. So that would be more for you. So, so there's no times in September, but you can look at next month. So let's view next month. So they have some times on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, it looks like, when they do their one-on-one sessions, and they're through Google Meet. So really think that the scholarship information is really worthwhile. Bobby can attest to the idea that I don't want you to pay a lot to get your education. There's so many programs out there for you to get it for way less that I really think that that's what you should try to do if at all possible, right? So Bobby, do you agree?
100%. Absolutely. And I've talked to a few people earlier in the semester who had questions about my particular path and journey with scholarships. So, if you are now, if your interests are now peaked, feel free to stop into the tutoring center. I can give you my experience with it, but Roxanne's absolutely right. There's a lot of programs out there. There's a lot of money out there for students that goes unclaimed, and it's relatively, the process to kind of apply for a lot of scholarships is pretty straightforward. It's totally something, if you're looking into scholarships, it's totally something you can achieve.
Yay. Excellent. Okay, so scholarship workshops, I'll make sure these slides are available to you. So that's just a clickable link after class. So you can do that. But think about that. You take your test on next Thursday and you're going to like nail it. And then you go to your scholarship workshop on Friday and you're like, yeah, I'm going to get an A in my math class. Like, what can you do for me? Right? So there's a lot going on. The other thing is this was actually shared from a colleague of mine. One of her students is part of the Senate at ASMCC. So if you're, you can learn here about clubs that are active and you can just get involved in the virtual world. So they meet every Thursday from 2 to 3 p.m. and there's their link and their meeting ID and their passcode, okay? So if you're interested in that, they have a lot of good stuff going on. I was just in my SASE meeting yesterday. I was talking about, because our math club is huge and we do so many great things in our math club that there's no writing club. And I was like, why is there no writing club? Because like there's a lot of people who are interested in creative writing and just improving their writing and things like that. And you could have a lot of things going on. So apparently I just passed that buck to someone else since I am not an English instructor. But so if you're really into writing, and I know we have some in here, talk to your instructors and maybe start a club. You could start it virtually if you have time right now while it's a virtual world, or you could make plans to start it when we go back face to face, which will probably be next fall. Okay, let's talk test. This is kind of a look at next week, okay? So Monday, we're gonna do our last section, which is S6 Z-scores, okay? You have a formula sheet, but you don't really need it until we get to Z-scores. Okay, and then we're gonna do a little extra thing on Tuesday with Z-scores, because that's probably one of the things that gets a little confusing. So instead of just spending 1 day on it, we'll spend 2 days on it. And then Wednesday is a review day. So I'm giving you a review packet. I actually already released it to you this morning. So, and that is really like a practice test. We're gonna go over it in class on Wednesday and it's gonna be due Wednesday night. And so I'm gonna give you the key on Wednesday, but the best use of your time is gonna be to have that done Tuesday night before class. There's no way we'll get through the whole review on Wednesday. So if you have it done on Tuesday, when you come to class and you're in your team, you guys can go, oh, I really didn't know how to do number 8. And then you can focus on one problem instead of trying to just fast do it all. And then there'll be a great way for you to study before the next day. And then Thursday is your statistics test. And we'll talk more about that in just a second. So how are we gonna take our test? You're gonna take your test through Respondus Lockdown browser. At 9 a.m., this test will open for you. And the test will close at 10 a.m. So do not be late that day. Yes, like do not be late to log on. You don't have to log on here to Zoom. I'll be here on Zoom, but you can just log on directly through Canvas into your test. After your test closes at 10 a.m., you'll have 15 minutes to upload your written work. So you have to have paper written, and then you're gonna upload that as a PDF, which you should already know how to do, right? Okay. I'll be in Zoom if you have any technical questions. So questions on that.
Where would you find it on Canvas? I've never done it, so I don't know the steps.
I'm so happy you asked. Wait, Maddie, you're going to be so excited because I have a practice assignment this week. Okay, so, and I'll show you that in just a second. So preparing to use Respondus Lockdown browser. So you're going to take a practice. Yeah.
Sorry. So regarding the PDF, like when you scan it and do the PDF, typically I use my phone for that. Well, are we, after we do the Respondus and we're done with it, then you take your phone out and do that?
Exactly.
Okay.
So the
Okay.
Respondus
Right.
will close, right? After 60 minutes, that'll close. And then you can use your phone, your app, whatever, to scan and upload your work.
Okay, great. Thanks.
I have a question off of that. My scanner's on my printer, which is like right there. Do you want me to like carry my laptop over so you can see it, or?
Don't scan until after you're done with the Respondus part.
Okay, so that'll be done
part,
anyways. Okay.
Yeah, so the test time, all you have to do is take the test, and because you're on webcam, right?
Right.
So you'll just take the test the whole time. Then the test will close, and I have a different assignment where you upload your work. And so there's no video, looking at you. You just have 15 minutes from when the test closes. So you have from 10 to 10:15 to upload your work.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions before I go over this?
Upload our work to where or to what?
It's an assignment. You'll see it on Canvas. I'll show it to you in just a second.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So this week you're going to take a practice quiz. It's not over math. Okay, it just asks you a couple quick questions. The goal of this quiz, it's 3 questions, by the way, and I do give you points for doing it. So, and it goes in the quiz category. So you should get a perfect score on that quiz. You're welcome. So the idea is for you to be able to download browser, understand how it works, and just answer those 3 questions to take the stress off. So then next Thursday, you already have all your tech handled, right? Next Thursday, when you log in, you've already done it before, so you don't have to worry about it. Make sense? Okay, so there's an assignment called Info on Taking a Proctored Test. It is like very specific, tells you everything. That's worth points too, by the way. Then you have your practice test. That's the 3 questions that you're going to do with Respondus Lockdown Browser. Then you have a statistics review. That's the one that's not due till next Wednesday, but those are ways you can study for the test, right? And this is what I was talking about before. You're getting a review. I'm going to give you the key. You still have to upload all your work because you get points for that assignment, okay? But you shouldn't get them wrong because you have the right answer, yes, after Wednesday. But this will just be a way for you to get help. Speaking of which, Bobby sent a message yesterday. Did anyone get Bobby's message yesterday? Yes, is there anyone who didn't get Bobby's message? I thought I had the link over here.
I got a lot of responses actually, so.
Yay, okay, so his was asking about a review. So if you haven't checked that message, Bobby is willing to do a review with you guys either Monday, I think it's Monday or Wednesday from 2 to 3. Is that right, Bobby?
That's correct.
Do you want to talk about it at all, what you plan on doing?
Sure, I can absolutely talk about it. Basically, I offer an hour-long review in the Cranium Cafe, which many of you have already visited me, and some of you still have to either visit me or another tutor to do your tutoring assignment, so you'll have experience with Cranium Cafe. It's looking more like Monday is the more popular response, but I will leave it open today until later this afternoon before we make the actual request to the Learning Enhancement Center to get this like time slot allocated for your class and potentially Roxanne's other section. But this hour is specifically for Math 146 students in Roxanne's class to ask questions about some of the questions they had on the review. I don't typically like to just start on question 1 and go through to the end of the review. I find that most of the time that covers a lot of questions students didn't have any issue with. So I really like to let students dictate what they want covered in these review sessions. So if you have some of the review done, or if you've taken a look at it and you say, oh, this is something that I just don't quite get yet, or I'm still struggling with this, I need more practice, the review is a great opportunity for you to come in, ask questions, get feedback, work in small groups, kind of collaborate with each other sometimes, depending on how many people show up. I basically just let students dictate how the review session goes, but it's 100% for you.
Nice. So do you guys have questions for Bobby? He'll solidify when that is, I would say by tomorrow for sure, right, Bobby?
Yeah, so I'm hoping to leave it open, like I said, till later this afternoon, and then I'll put in my like formal request for that time.
And this is separate than just regular tutoring hours. This will be a special session with just Bobby and our class, so it won't be a one-on-one, there will be multiple in there. Now, that also doesn't replace the regular tutoring center that you can visit anytime, right? Or the BrainFuse tutoring that you can use over the weekend if you need it, or my office hours that are always available to you, right? So you guys have a lot of resources, and I know tests can be really stressful for you. So we want to minimize the stress, and one of the ways you can do that is make sure you're extra prepared by doing the review, going to Bobby, maybe going to office hours, maybe going to tutoring, but all of those things and studying before I don't want, a good strategy is not to stay up all night, right? The night before a test. That's a terrible strategy. You need to start studying early and then get it done. Now, some of you are like, oh, we don't have the last section until Monday. It's open for you right now. You're doing the mini lesson, right, over the weekend, so you can start on that homework whenever you want. There's lots of videos for help on that. Maddie, in our Canvas course or on our virtual classroom, there should be a link to the tutoring center, okay?
So there is a link there. Roxanne's absolutely right. One thing about this session is that it might have to be in the Cranium Cafe classroom, because if we have more than 10 students, they won't all fit in my cafe. So if I can't give you the link to that classroom today because it generates when I go in there. So I'll go in early, a few minutes early before the tutoring session, whether that's Monday or Wednesday. We have yet to decide, but the link will be provided in the same email through Canvas. I'll just send everyone an email and include that link so you can join the classroom.
Yes, these scores will be on the test. You can look at the review whenever you want. It's on Canvas already. It's not a huge part of the test, okay? All right, so before I share this, let me see if I can stop sharing and if I can show you. No, Z-scores are not scary. We just haven't covered it yet. They will be fine. I promise you, they will be fine. And it's not going to make or break you. Let's say you just can't figure out Z-scores. You're not going to fail the test because you don't know Z-scores. So no worries about that. I'm going to see if I can open my Canvas course and show it to you, show you those assignments, because those assignments are very helpful and you should take a look at them as soon as possible. I think I only have 4 tutoring assignments from this class right now, which is a little traumatizing to me because it's due tomorrow night. Yeah, so I'm traumatized by that. Okay, so let me share my screen. If I can figure out that button. Okay. So here's our classroom, right? If you click right here, Tutor Bobby, that goes to Cranium directly to him when he's in there. That won't be the link for the review. Like he said, he'll send the review to you, the link for the review session to you. But over here on this left-hand side, do you see where it says MCC Math Tutors? That's the same link to Cranium, okay? So you can click there. If you click this online tutoring, you're going to get brain fused tutoring, which is not MCC people. So it's just an outsourced service. It's great and it's available on the weekends. It's actually available 24/7. But if it's possible, I really like the MCC Math Tutors as my first go-to. Okay. So if we take a look at this, if you go to modules, our statistics module is getting very full. By the way, if you don't want to see all this stuff, just close these little triangles. So now you just see the stats module. We're way down here now. Right here is the info on taking the proctored test. So if you click on that, it's a little quiz. It tells you, here's the formulas, here's all the calculators you'll be able to use. It gives you all the data, everything you ever wanted to know about your test. I didn't put extra words in there, so go ahead and read all of them, okay? Like don't skip it and go blah, 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 what do I need to do, right? And then do you see it says take the quiz? Yeah, so do that because it is worth points, right? 10 points, it's one question. You'll like it too, by the way. Okay, so then that's all your info on the proctored test. Then when you do your lockdown browser, right here, it's going to require you to go to download the lockdown browser and everything, which is all in this info on taking a proctored test. Notice there's only 3 questions on here, okay? And then your stats review is right here. Okay, here's a link to the review right here. It's just a Google Doc. You can make your own copy. You can download it. You can write your answers on paper. I don't care, but here it is, okay? Yes? All right, any questions for me on that before we start into the meat of it?
What happens if, like, for whatever reason, technology isn't working and you just can't get into this test. Not by choice, but.
It shouldn't happen because that's why we're doing a practice this week, right? So we're going to fix all your tech issues this week. And that's also why I'm going to be on Zoom during class time, because if you're having tech issues, you can log on to Zoom and we can troubleshoot those tech issues. Does that help? Any other questions?
I feel like I won't know if I have questions until I'm like actually doing it. So.
Right,
No.
right. So it's okay. Once you go through, that's why I did it right now. So then we still have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to answer any of those questions before the test on Thursday. Okay? All right. Yay. Okay. So today is a little, I think, more boring than yesterday, because yesterday was fun because you got to apply a lot of the knowledge you already had into a project. And I haven't graded those yet. If you thought I was an amazing Wonder Woman and I graded them all, you're insane, because I did not. But I will be grading them as soon as possible for sure. So you have them. Let me share. Now we're going to talk about a normal distribution. And you're like, wait a minute, what does normal mean? Normal doesn't just mean what you think it means, like, oh, you're a normal. It's very specific in mathematics. So, and I highlighted the part that people forget. In order for it to be a normal distribution, the mean and the median and the mode all have to be exactly the same. Okay? So if you know that, you know it's going to be a symmetric distribution with a single peak, right? So it's going to be looking like a bell-shaped curve. Now, because this is symmetric, 50% of the data is below the mean and 50% of the data is above the mean. That's not always true. It's always true for the median, but it's not always true for the mean. So this is very specific because the mean and the median are the same in this case in a normal distribution. This is what they're trying to teach you in this part of the lesson. The further away from the mean you get in a normal distribution, those data points are very rare. Okay, so they don't occur very often. And we'll talk about applications of normal distributions too, which might help it make sense to you. So this is also important. It has tapering tails at both ends, but they never touch the horizontal axis. They get really, really close, but they never touch it. And this last one, almost all of the area under a normal distribution curve is within 3 standard deviations of the mean. Now, we know what standard deviation is. It's showing us the spread from the mean. So we'll talk about, we talked just briefly about 1 standard deviation from the mean, but now we're going to talk about 1 standard deviation, 2 standard deviations, and 3 standard deviations from the mean, above or below. Doing okay so far? Any questions? All right. The empirical rule. 68, 95, and 99.7. Those are numbers you should learn, right? You should pay attention to those numbers because we are going to use those to interpret data. Okay, so let's look at this very first one where it says about 68% of the data falls within 1 standard deviation of the mean. So here's the mean right in the middle of my bell-shaped curve. And then if I took the mean and added 1 standard deviation, that would be, see how it says +1 sigma? Remember we talked about sigma meaning the standard deviation. And then we did on the other side, took the mean and subtracted 1 standard deviation. This area right here under this curve, 68% of the data lies right there. So a lot of your data lies within 1 standard deviation. It's nice to know if it's a normal distribution. The second part of the empirical rule is talking about 95% of the data. And do you see now it says it's ±2 standard deviations. So notice if we did our dotted lines right here, we still have the 68% in here. Now we're just adding this area and this area. So when all of that's combined, we have 95% of our data. And that last little note on the slide before that said almost all of your data lies within 3 standard deviations. Do you see this percent? 99.7% of your data, if it's a normal distribution, should lie within 3 standard deviations. So there is a tiny bit of data right here and a tiny bit of data right here. And it's not on the horizontal axis, but there's not very much of it there anyway. So when do I see the empirical rule used? All the time, right? Insurance companies use it constantly, but educators use it as well. Have you seen it at all, Bobby, yet in your applications?
They use it for determining like students' needs, especially like in higher need students with learning disabilities.
Yeah, so, and the students have to be within a certain range. So typically they're looking for these students here that are beyond 3 standard deviations. And then those are the students that are able to get services for free from the school. So notice that it's both ends. These would be gifted students, right? Or very highly functioning students. And these would be students that have some sort of disability, whether it's a learning disability, maybe they have dyslexia, it could be anything, right? So, and it doesn't have to be a physical disability, right? It could be a mental disability because that's what they're looking at. So what's frustrating as a teacher is sometimes you have a kid that you know needs extra resources and they're right here, right? And they don't qualify for extra services. And it's very frustrating because you know they need them. And so that's why, I don't know how many of you are interested in education, but some of you might even have children and things like that. So IEPs really deal with these students. 504 plans can get these students. So that's why 504s were put in place. So students could still receive services, even though they are not that real rare data point. So this idea of 68, 95, and 99.7 is important. Questions?
I think I got a little lost in that. Like I get that the rule is it's 68% or if it's plus or minus, and then I get the idea behind it on the side, but I don't get what it's actually like for.
So how about we do an example and maybe we see what it's for?
Okay.
Does that help? Okay,
Yeah.
So let's take a look. So if we have this data and they tell us that the X variable is normally distributed, which means the mean, median, mode are all the same, right? They're telling us that. As soon as they say this word, normally distributed, that's what that means, okay? But they tell us the mean is -3, and they tell us that the standard deviation is 1. Do you see that? Now, we don't know what this data is yet, right? All we know is that it is a normal distribution and the mean is -3 and the standard deviation is 1. Okay. So now we're just kind of making sure we understand the rule before we go too deep into an explanation. So if we were going to label on this, the mean and the values for each line. So the mean, where would it be on this picture?
Would be directly in the middle, like
Yeah, it would be
60,
right.
95, 99.7. Yep.
Very nice. So right here, so I'm going to label that -3. Is everybody okay with that? Why did I put it -3? Because it told me the mean was -3. So now if I want to label these lines right here, this line right here is +1 standard deviation. This is +2 standard deviations. This is +3 standard deviations. And I made it real nice for you to start. So the standard deviation is just 1 in this problem. So what number would I put right here on this first line to the right?
-2.
Very nice. Because -3 + 1 is -2. And then I'm going to keep going up. So then that's going to be -1 and 0 is going to be over here. How about to the left of the mean? What am I going to write?
-4.
-4, then -5, then -6. This is going to really help you in 3.5 and 3.6 if you keep your minds about yourself about how I can label these normal curves. Okay, so that's all we did. We're not doing a 3, 2, 1 class chat. We have that. We're good. Oh, we're actually trying to answer this question. Didn't read it. So between what, we will do a 3, 2, 1 class chat. I know I make my notes for a reason. Between what X values does 95% of the data lie? So between which X values does 95% of the data lie? So let's do a 3, 2, 1 chat. Yes? 3, 2, 1, go. Looking good. Now, we don't know what this data is, so we don't have a lot of meaning attached to this yet, but we do know that 95% of our data would be between -5 and +1. Excellent. Any questions there? You okay? You're just playing along right now, right?
-5 and -1.
Oh, sorry, negative. Did I say 1? Sorry about that. Everybody's right in the chat. I can see it. All right. And I just showed you it here. So in case you're reviewing these slides later, you'll have the answers on the very next slide. Okay, so now we're going to get into actual real data. So this is a sleep example. A survey administered to college students showed that the amount of sleep in hours in a 24-hour period is normally distributed with a mean of 7.5 hours and a standard deviation of 1.5 hours. And then I ask you a bunch of questions, but before we answer the questions, can you label this curve or tell me how we would label this line and then each one of these lines given the data that they told you in the problem? So take a minute thinking about it right now, okay? All right. So can anybody tell me, just some brave soul, tell me what I would label all those lines?
From left to right, it would be 2.25 for 5.75, 7.5, 9.25, 11, and 12.75.
Okay, I got a little lost down here on the left side. What's the first one to the left of the mean?
Oh, the first one to the left of the mean is 5.75.
And then this one?
4.
Okay, that's the one I missed was 4
Mhm.
when you were talking. Anybody agree, disagree? You okay? Do you know where she got those values? So Caitlin, when you did it, can you describe how you did it?
Yeah, so I started from 7.5, the mean, and then I worked my way to the right. And in my calculator, I just did plus 1.75, 1.75, 1.75.
Nice.
And then I went back to the mean and did minus 1.75, two more times.
Excellent. Okay, any questions on how we got there? Everybody okay? So now, can we answer this first question? Let's do another 3, 2, 1 chat. Where is 68% of the data? Between what hours of sleep is 68% of the data? So think about it. Get it already in the chat. 3, 2, 1, go. Very nice. So do you see how we're just trying to understand the rule right now, and then we'll interpret what that means in just a second. So you guys did great. You said 68% of the data lies right here between 5.75 and 9.25. Can anyone tell me what that means in terms of this problem? Like with the sleep and the hours?
It means that sorry, I don't mean to interrupt anyone. It means that 68% of college students sleep between 5.75 hours and 9.25 hours.
Yeah, do you believe that 68% of college students sleep between 5.75 and 9.25 hours per, and we'll say day, even though it says per 24-hour period. So do you guys believe that? Do you agree? Disagree? What do you think? I don't know how many hours of sleep you guys get. I get about that. I'm more on this end, right? The 5.75 end. I don't know why I'm grouped with the people who are getting over 9 hours of sleep. That's a little irritating, right? Because I ain't getting no 9 hours of sleep, let me tell you. So, but these people I'm a little worried about, right? These 2.25 people? Yeah, that's scary. Okay, so remember that would count your naps too. So if you're coming home and taking a nap, that counts because that's your 24-hour period. Yeah. Anyone a big napper out there? Oh, Mackenzie says yes, but you work nights, so that's probably why. AJ is his hands up for sure. I am not a napper. I hate napping. I think it's like the worst thing ever. I don't know why. Maybe 10 minutes, 20 minutes max, but longer than that, I feel like I'm gonna die. Okay, so 95% of the data. Oh, Malik, you're a napper. How long are your naps, you guys? I need to know now. Malik, AJ, Mackenzie. Mackenzie, I'm not sure yours are really naps because you are up all night. So how long are your naps? 2 hours max. Okay, that's a good plan.
At least an hour.
At least an hour. Okay. Now, when I was in college, I napped more. Now that I'm old, I don't nap as much, just FYI. So, okay. So could you answer for 95% of the data? And then 99.7% of the data. So answer those to yourself. You don't have to type them in the chat, and then I'll do the big reveal on the next slide. All right, are you ready? There we go. And these should all have units of hours on them. That was very bad of me to not put those there. Okay, did you get them all right? So this makes sense to me. I don't know if you're trying to like step away from the empirical rule and make sense of it, but this 95% of people sleep between 4 and 11 hours. That makes sense to me. Most people, right? 95% of the people sleep between 9 and 11 hours. Then you have this little percentage that sleeps either way less than that or way more than that, right? So, but most people sleep between 4 and 11 hours. That seems sensible to me, right? Like that seems like data that makes sense. Okay. So, test scores. Teachers do this with test scores all the time, right? To see if we have a normal distribution, right? So when the first thing they tell you is what the mean is, right? A lot of times teachers tell you the mean. Now, if it's a normal distribution, then the mean and the median are the same. Now, this mean is 120. We don't know what the test is out of, right? They didn't tell us that. but they did tell us the standard deviation is 25. I want you, before you really go crazy and fill in all the things, does the standard deviation of 25 seem like a lot or not very much?
Not very much.
Not very much. Okay, so it's not tiny, right? It's not like all my students scored exactly the same or really close to the same, but it's not huge, right? So go ahead and label your, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore, your normal distribution here, your picture. So label the mean and label each one of these little marks. And then see if you can answer these questions. And this last question might be a little tricky for you, okay, to answer. So, and this is kind of a backwards question. First, we're gonna label all these data points and then we're gonna talk about them, okay? So 1 standard deviation above the mean, 2 standard deviations below the mean, 3 standard deviations above the mean, and then 1.5 standard deviations below the mean. But first step is just gonna be label all those, okay? So label all your places on your graph. That's what it's called, a graph. Okay, so somebody tell me how to label these. Not Caitlin, because Caitlin is a rock star today, and I know Caitlin understands. I want somebody other than Caitlin to tell me. Maybe even somebody who's kind of unsure, because this is when we can clear it up.
I can go.
I'm ready.
Left to right, I got 45, 70, 95, and then the mean of 120, and then 145, 170, 195.
Thank you, Ben. How many of you agree? Nice. AJ gave me a thumbs up. Caitlin gave me a thumbs up. Excellent. The rest of you are okay. Malate gave me a thumbs up. I appreciate that. Jonathan, good job. Thank you. Okay, so now let's answer this question. It says find a score that is 1 standard deviation above the mean. So what score did they get on the test if they were 1 standard deviation above the mean?
$145.
There you go, 145. Was that Leslie?
Yes.
I wasn't looking at my screen. I'm getting so good. I know everybody's voices, only the people that talk to me, by the way, just in case you're wondering. So good job, Leslie. Okay, so 145. How about 2 standard deviations below the mean? I can just start calling on people too. That's fine.
70?
70. Was that Francisca?
Yes.
How did you get 70? Can you explain it?
Because since it's in the middle of 120, I just went and counted 2 to the left.
Very nice. That's why it's nice to have this graph labeled, right?
Yes.
Excellent. So you start from the mean, and then 2 standard deviations below would be 2 lines below if you labeled it. Okay.
Yes.
And then, very nice, Francisca. How about 3 standard deviations above the mean?
Is
Isn't
it 195?
95.
Ooh, look at everybody trying to answer. I love it. Okay, I heard Maddie's voice. Who else answered me? Who else said it? You guys, I was trying to give you, like, write it down like you guys are participating. Oh, it's AJ. Go, AJ. Good job. Okay. And then 1.5 standard deviations below the mean. So how would you figure that out?
You divide it?
Okay, what are you going to divide, Maddie? So where would it be on my picture?
So if it's below the mean, would it be 9, like where the 95 is, and divide that?
Okay, so here's 1 standard deviation below the mean. This is
Right.
2 standard deviations below the mean. Where would 1.5 be?
Right between the 70 and 95?
Very good. It would be right here.
102.5?
82.5.
So how did you get that? Can you explain that?
I multiplied 1.5 and 25 because if it's 1.5 standard deviations, you would just multiply that. It's kind of like saying it's, yeah, so sorry, I am getting confused.
You're doing great. So you did 1.5 times 25
Yeah, to find out the value of that. And then I added that to the, or I subtracted that from the mean.
Very nice explanation. So you took 1.5 times 25 because 25 was the standard deviation, and then subtracted 37.5 from the mean, and you got 82.5. Is there another way to do it?
You could take 70 and 95 and find the mean of those two.
Nice. You could take 70 plus 95 and divide by 2. And that would give you that same answer of 82.5. Did anyone do it differently? I just want to make sure there's lots of ways to get the same answer.
I did it differently.
What'd you do, Ben?
So I took one standard deviation below, and because 1.5 and is between 1 and 2, I went down to 70 and then added half of 25, which is 12.5. 70 plus 12.5 is 82.5.
So you took 25 divided by 2 and got 12.5, and then took your 70 plus 12.5 and got 82.5. Did I describe it right, Ben?
Yeah.
Excellent strategy. Do you see that's a different way to get the same answer? But either way, we got 82.5. We got it when we did halfway between 70 and 95. We did it when we took 1.5 times the standard deviation and then subtracted it. We also did it where we took half of the standard deviation and then added it to that lower score. Excellent. Everybody okay? Zevi, do you understand now how you would get it correct? Excellent. Good. I like all three strategies. I don't know which one makes most sense to you. That's why I wanted to share all of them. Did anyone have any other way? All right. So here's mine. I didn't give you any how I did it. Well, I did kind of look right here. I showed kind of Ben's way, right? Go all the way down to 70 and then add 12.5. Excellent. Okay. So now you're going to do this problem in your teams. Now, don't be freaked out by all the numbers that are over there. Okay. It's okay. So we're talking about potato chips. Apparently, I like to talk about potato chips. We have 9-ounce bags of potato chips. It's approximately normal. I'm going to give you the handout if you want to write on it, but you don't have to. You know, as long as you get an idea, you're going to work in your teams for that. Let me see if I can put the handout in the chat. And too many windows in my way. That's annoying. Okay. And then you're going to have to figure out what these numbers are asking you, but you're still using the empirical rule. You can do it, I promise. Okay, so here's the document. This is not something you're turning in, right? This is just making sure we understand. I'm going to put you in your rooms and then we're going to debrief it. So if you're just writing on paper, that's totally fine. You could do a little sketch. The important things that you need are the mean and the standard deviation, right? And then somebody else in your team maybe can share the doc with you, right? Okay, so let me put you in your teams. You guys can start working like now, thinking. Thank you for putting your numbers by your name. It really helps me a lot. Who else is on team one? I feel like there's one more on team one, but I don't know who they are. Maybe they don't have their number there. Clementine, what team are you on? Oh, 4, thank you. There's Kate. You guys can make it so it just defaults to that. Would it be weird when you go into another class when it says your name and then the number 1? I don't know, maybe. Okay, so Mackenzie, I have to assign you, and Zevi. Zevi, you're in team 1. Mackenzie, you're in team 2. You can go work on this document. I'll give you about, I don't know, 5 minutes or so. Bobby, don't go anywhere yet. All right, so let me pause this for a second. Let me, I don't know, do you want me to scroll to the next slide, Bobby, or they'll share their screen, so you're fine?
Yeah, they're usually good about sharing
Okay.
the screen. I also have the doc now, so.
Oh, good, okay. Hi, Sydney, how you doing? Did you figure some of them out?
Yeah, I think it took us a couple, like a little bit longer to do the ones that were less or more than, but
Okay.
once we took your advice about like looking at it as a whole, it made a lot more sense.
And then Andrew, you cut that in half.
Yeah, perfect. That makes sense.
Yeah, okay, cool.
All right,
Thank
so I'm gonna do the big reveal right now. And remember, after class, you'll have access to these slides. And then if you didn't have a chance to do the second part, that's okay. The second part's actually easier. So check these and see if you got them all correct. Can you see my screen? Okay, good. And what I would do is circle the ones you got wrong, so then you can go back and look at that. And a great strategy, one student said, could I take this to the tutoring center and work with Bobby on it? You sure could.
Miss Klassen,
Yes.
do you mind looking at J and K? Because those are the only ones I got wrong.
Yeah, so J, more than 9.42, so more than here. So all of this data would be down there, right? And so what did you have for an answer for yours, Ben?
It was like 2.1 or something.
Because how did you get it?
There was like a graph on the 68, 97, 99 rule.
Mm-hmm.
And it said that the ones on like the furthest ones were 2.1.
Okay, did you use this picture that I gave you right here in this?
I did it first, but then I tried to do half of I and L, which got me like 7 point something or 8%, which isn't right.
Yeah,
So
so
I just got lost.
if you fill in all these little areas, it might help too. You know, like if you know that this piece right here is how much, which would mean this piece right here is how much, because we know to this point right here is everything below it is, let's see, 100 minus 99.7. That's 0.3 divided by 2. So this little tiny piece right here is 0.15. This little tiny piece right here is 0.15, right? And then if we did this line, 99.7, and then this line, this would be everything above here. If you know that everything below here, this is 95. I'm gonna have to write that up for you. because I don't want to keep you guys late because it's 9:14. So I'm going to put it in the chat for you, the exit ticket, and then I'll show you that. And then we can finish that in just a sec, okay?
All right.
I just don't want to keep people too long. So there's your exit ticket. Don't forget your tutoring assignment and your extra credit assignment, right? So, and do your exit ticket. You can still see my screen, right? Okay, good.
All right, Roxanne, I'm out of here. Thank you.
Bye. Have a great
Bye, guys.
day.
Roxanne, will you share how to do J?
Yes. So that's what we're gonna finish right now. Can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Is everybody okay with the exit ticket? They got it from the chat. Nobody else needs the QR code? Okay. All right. So on this problem right here, let me erase some of this nonsense so we can see what's really happening. I went back and I labeled, I don't know why it's not erasing faster than that. It's getting tired. Do you see it? Okay.
I'm gonna go. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Okay, I don't know why it's not erasing all of it. Very annoying. Okay. There we go. Okay. So we're going to draw our line. J was more than 9.42. So I'm going to draw this line right here. And I want everything over here. Everything, right? So if I know that I started at 100%, so I know the total would be 100% here. So above here would be 0.15. Does everybody see where I got 0.15? I took my 100 minus 99.7. 100 minus 99.7, and I got 0.3. And then since I have the upper end and the lower end, I put 0.15 up here beyond 3 standard deviations and 0.15 down there beyond 3 standard deviations. Okay, so if I went to this line right here, and I said, okay, that's 95%, so what's above here? And what's below here? If I say 100 minus 95, I get 5, but then I have half of it above and half of it below. So there's 2.5 above and 2.5 below, because it's 95 to here, and 100 minus 95 would be 5, and then 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. So above this much
You're
would
talking
be,
circles around me.
Yeah, I don't understand what you're saying. Like,
It's
okay.
going right over my
it
head.
really is.
Okay. Ben, how are you doing? Are you still here?
The
Yeah, no,
goal
this
of this is to find out what each of these sections is worth, right? So
There you go.
what this 68% section in gray, each of the halves is worth how much percentage?
34.
34.
I agree.
Okay.
So we know then that half of so the next 2 standard deviations, 2 standard deviations below and 2 standard deviations above is how much percent?
13.5.
Where did you get that, I guess? How did you?
What, my 13.5 or
Yes,
my?
the
Yeah.
13.5.
Do you
So we
remember
did-
on the problem you did where you said 47.5 was right here? Because you did half of 95. So there was 47.5 here and 47.5 here.
So
Well,
then
if I already know there's 34 under here, and my total has to be 47.5, there has to be 13.5 there, because 13.5 plus 34 gives me 47.5.
Wait, so how are we getting the 47.5?
Divide
You
that by
found
the
it
95,
on
right?
problem C, right?
95 divided by 2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
on
That'll
problem
tell you
D.
that this chunk and this chunk are each 47.5%.
Okay.
5 minus 30.
It's weird with this one because I feel like I'll do it and then I immediately forget. I feel like a goldfish.
That's okay. It's just practice. But if you were okay in the beginning, you'll be okay. We just need to keep practicing, right? That's
The
why we have
ones-
Monday and Tuesday.
Okay, I'll probably meet with Bobby because the ones I wasn't okay with was I, J, K kind of deal.
Right. These, and we
Yeah.
can start there on Monday to refresh our memory too.
Okay. Okay.
So, yeah, but if you go through and you label all of these percentages, it's going to help you a lot, right?
Okay.
I promise it will.
So it's
All right.
99.7 divided by 2.
Well, hold on.
99.7 divided by 2 is
49.85.
49.85.
So from the third standard deviation below to the median and the mean in the middle, we have 49 and 8500%. So we want to find this third little sliver using the same kind of process. We know how much this entire lower, almost the entire lower half is, but we know these two pieces as well, the 13.5% and the 34%, or the 47.5%. So 49.85 minus 47.5 is going to give us this 2.35 that is this lower blue sliver and the upper blue sliver because they're symmetrical.
Okay.
And so if you take each one of these numbers that we just wrote in, 0.15, 2.35, 13.5, 34, 34, 13.5, 2.35, and 0.15, that totals 100%. That's
Yeah.
all your data. So where did those numbers come from? I used this information that they gave me, that 68, 95, and 99.7. And then I know that when I get to the very end, I'm going to have 100%. So notice 34 and 34 sum to 68. 34 and 13.5 sum to 47.5. And then 47.5 and 47.5 sum to 95. And then I can keep working my way out.
And these measurements are always going to be the same because it's equal to 100%, right?
Yep,
Okay.
because it's a normal distribution. Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Okay, that actually helps a lot. I think because there was so much going on and introduced, it was just a lot for my brain being the last day of the week, if that makes sense.
And the
Okay.
mini lesson went over some of this, right?
It did. And honestly, I feel like I'm going to go back through it because I feel like I was like, I did it. And then I don't know what it is about this, but I feel like I immediately forget. So I just need to practice.
Yeah, no, it's hard. It's just a new concept you haven't dealt with before. So maybe you have to watch that video again, right? Or visit Bobby. And then when you practice more, you'll get more help too.
Okay.
I think the practice homework, though, it doesn't explain that last 0.15. I was getting very close to the correct answers, but I was not coming up with the correct answer.
Okay, do you see where it comes from now?
Well, when you explained the 2.5, that made more sense to me than the 0.15.
Okay,
So
so and
Leslie,
notice, go ahead.
you could also think of it as, well, what's outside of the third standard deviation, below and above?
Okay.
We start with 100% of the data, and what do we take away? If we take away everything inside of the 3 standard deviations below and 3 standard deviations above,
Okay.
what percent are we going to subtract?
The 99.7.
Exactly. And that, what we had, the difference is left over, and we need to split that between 2 symmetrical pieces.
Okay.
Oh.
That makes sense. Okay.
So then we find out what that little sliver above 3 standard deviations and the little
That makes
sliver
sense.
below 3 standard deviations is in a percent.
Okay.
Okay? Student just knocked on my door in the drop-in, so
Okay.
visit me in there. But I'm gonna be in the drop-in until about noon, and then again after my next embedded class. So hopefully I can answer any questions you guys might have in there.
Okay. Bye, Bobby.
Bye,
Thanks,
Bobby.
Bobby.
Thank you.
All right. So are you guys a little bit better?
I feel a little bit better. I think I
Okay.
need more review. I'm still confused, to be honest.
That's fine. And maybe I will see if I can make a video that just goes over the percentages without these numbers here. That makes it, you know, a little more confusing, because the percentages are the percentages no matter what.
Right.
Right? This application just happened to have these weird numbers: 9.12, 9.27, 9.42, 9.57.
Right.
So those numbers, just to recap for my peanut head brain, the 0.15, 235, 13.5, 34%, and then so on, they don't change. Those are always the same.
Yep, they will always be the same. What's going to change is the mean, right?
I know, I did take a picture.
And then the ones underneath. And if I make a video, it might help a lot. So
Yeah.
if I make a generic video.
I would really appreciate that.
I say
Okay.
I found it helpful with the homework if you guys actually do a graph and then put above the graph, put your breakdown. So like the 2.35, the 13.5, the 34, all the way up and around.
From the jump, from the beginning.
Yeah, label the top of your bell shape. And that way, when you guys are, and put your dividing lines, and that way you can see, you know, according to whatever is on your axis, going over, okay, I'm at 34 plus 13.5
Right.
plus 2.35.
Yeah, and did you see at the bottom of the worksheet that I gave you today had this bell shape on there?
Yeah.
And so you can draw those every single time because it'll help. And then, but like Leslie said, have a generic one, right, with the percentages on there because it'll help. Ben, did that help at all?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, good. Carmen, are you doing okay?
Thank you.
Yes, I understand it now.
Okay, good. And like I said, maybe I'll make a quick video because everybody who left probably didn't understand it either. They were just heads were going to explode, so they just left.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I appreciate
get
it.
Yep, no
Thank
worries.
you.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a great weekend.
You too.
Roxanne, I had a quick question.
I'm ready, Carmen.
So if a student had a